right, good evening everybody. Today is Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. We are currently reporting live from Lower Manhattan. We're standing directly outside the beautiful One World Trade Center. It's very quiet, very peaceful down here, especially after work hours. You know, one of the things I noticed about Lower Manhattan specifically is that it really clears out and it becomes very peaceful and quiet right around 6:30, maybe 7. Now, if you look over here, these are the two main, I should say, reflecting pools where the north and the south tower of the original One World Trade Centers stood. If you ever get the opportunity to sort of come down here, maybe if you haven't yet, maybe you're a tourist or just looking to move to New York, it's a beautiful area to come. It's really quiet. I think they did a really good job with the memorial. Now, it does close at dusk, so I just want to let you know that. The area in and around the World Trade Center is always open, but the memorial, I should say, the reflecting pools, that does get closed off at dusk. So as you can see, we are right across the street from the famous One World Trade Center. On tonight's live stream, we are going to be walking through the financial district. Specifically, I want to point out a brand new development. Now, if you remember correctly on the stream, we've been talking about a lot of these office to condo conversions and how it can be quite expensive and how they're getting very rare, right? For obvious reasons, very expensive to do those condo conversions, but there is a gorgeous new development that is on the market. The exact address is One Wall Street. One Wall Street. I had the pleasure of touring that particular building today. It is an ultra luxury, ultra high-end condominium located literally right outside the beautiful Trinity Church. And it encompasses all of the beautiful Art Deco decor and that original New York feel, while at the same time maintaining that Billionaires Row-esque finishes and top-of-the-line amenities. So we're going to be actually taking a walk to that building today. If you want to maybe follow along, if you look at it on Street Easy, the exact address is One Wall Street. The amenities are really cool. They have a saltwater swimming pool. They have a private, I should say, restaurant for the residences specifically. And also tons of other stuff. So we'll be talking about that. As it relates to the financial markets, we are going to be focusing on inflation tonight, particularly the CPI report. Now, if you're following us on Twitter, if you follow @WalksWallStreet, one of the things that I posted today is a little bit of a graph or infographic showing the trajectory of CPI. And when inflation peaked in the United States, the CPI reading was 9%, almost double-digit inflation in the US. We've since collapsed, right? The last CPI reading that we got out about 2 weeks ago now, the headline number came in right at 3%. So if we do a breakdown of the CPI report, there's really two categories that are showing persistence as it relates to inflation. And those two categories being food and number two being shelter. So if shelter costs start to roll over, the United States could potentially be dealing with a deflationary problem as it relates or in comparison to inflation. So I think that's very important to talk about. Once again, if you want to see those two infographics, just go onto my Twitter page, and I've sort of segmented them out for you guys individually. I'm going to go ahead and close up my laptop here. We will start the live stream, and I'll say hello to everybody in the chat. And maybe if we have enough time, and assuming the rain holds off, we will take a walk across the Brooklyn Bridge. So allow me a few minutes. I'm gonna put my laptop away and we will get started. right, guys, perfect. Yeah, I was so busy today. I literally just finished work. So today was a very busy day on the street. Tons of corporate earnings. Obviously, Bank of America reported, Morgan Stanley reported, and I didn't really have enough time to do a deep dive or a lot of diligence into how many of the financials reported. So I'm gonna have to hold that commentary off until tomorrow. You know, maybe tonight. I plan to do a deep dive through Bank of America's earnings, check out the deck. But from what I hear, they actually beat expectations, and Brian Moynihan made a couple of comments. Wow, look at these brand new Class A office towers here. That's really nice. Look at that. Now, one of the things you'll notice in and around the Trade Center, a lot of brand new office developments. Definitely tough competition for the sort of Class B properties, if you will. But I see Gene Paul is here. What's up? GGNYC, always a pleasure to see you. Hopefully you had a good day today. We are now looking at the beautiful Oculus right here outside of the BMCC. This is Borough Manhattan Community College. Hey, Hawaii's here. What's up? Danielle says watching from Fairfield, Connecticut. Love that. Jacob O'Brien says, Tom, good to see you, sir. It's good to see you as well. Thank you so much for being here. DM, what is going on? So DM, I owe you an apology. I owe DM a huge apology. I have received your emails, and I'm gonna write you back tonight. I'm gonna make you that promise. For whatever reason, every time I go to open the email window to respond to DM, a fire drill goes off. Something crazy happens. So thank you so much for helping me out. I read your emails. Very, very big help. I sort of asked yesterday on last night's live stream, like, hey, does anybody know, or is anybody who's a listener walks in Wall Street, do you know any estate attorneys? So specifically dealing in the New York tri-state area, if you deal with estate sales, I'd love to connect, because I have a few questions just to sort of walk me through the process and how we could sort of collaborate, and I just may need a little bit of help there. So thank you so much for that. It really does mean a lot. Sally's here. I see Meld. What's up? Good to see you. Nikki Jeffries. What's up? What's up? Tom C says, hello, Tom. You're right by my office at 4 World Trade Center. Love that. You know, I really did like working down here in Lower Manhattan. My old office was right next to the Deutsche Bank, or I should say the former Deutsche Bank, at 60 Wall Street. It's beautiful down here in the spring and in the summer, as you can see, but it's freezing down here in the winter. Anybody who's worked in Lower Manhattan probably is going to agree with me on that one. It is really cold and really windy in the winter, particularly down here. Tom Barry is here. What's up? Good to see you, Tom. I see Western Mass Dave says, how's your week going? Week's going good. It's been very busy, but I'll never complain about being busy. Busy is good. Dan Sang, good to see you. Infinite Sky is here. Priscilla. Hey, Razzle Dazzle 786. Thank you so much. Appreciate that very, very much. Sparks Carnival says, Tom, have we talked about Microsoft yet? MongoDB got a boost today from their partnership with Microsoft. You know, it's funny. This was back in the day. I had an interview at MongoDB. Ticker symbol is MDB, I believe, for an enterprise account executive position. I didn't get it. But yeah, I mean, that stock has always traded a little bit wonky. You know, sometimes stocks have very, I should say, notable ways in which they trade. And MongoDB is very volatile. Well, from what I know, before we start to head into Lower Manhattan, I quickly want to give you guys this shot right here. This is one of my favorite shots of all time in Manhattan. This is standing right in front of the Oculus. So as you walk inside here, it'll bring you down to the PATH train, which will actually bring you to New Jersey. But also you can get the subway. You can get the 1, 2, 3 trains here. So look at that. Super unique view. And it's a pretty clear night out tonight. So as we walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, we're gonna be able to see absolutely everything. Yeah, Michael Josephs' Microsoft Pop today. They released their new AI enterprise pricing at $30 a month, and the street loved it. Yeah, I mean, you know, we sort of talked about this before, right? I think the market, in my view, and I want your guys' take on this, you know, we have many people in the chat who've worked in tech for their entire life, right? 30 plus years. So I think it's really good to get that perspective. But one of the things I'm excited about as it relates to AI is this technology has the ability and the capability to really expand companies' gross margins, right? Sort of the same thing that you saw at the beginning of the sort of the big software boom. I think it was Benioff that quoted the term software is eating the world, right? Now, Mark Benioff, CEO of Salesforce, well, I would say co-CEO now. He's a little bit older, company's a little bit more mature, sort of pioneered SaaS, which stands for software as a service. And I think there's one part of Wall Street and Main Street that is really getting hyped up and overshooting, I should say, the benefits and the use cases of artificial intelligence. But then there's also the other side of Wall Street, which I really think understands it. There's an old saying that people tend to overestimate what they could do in the short term and underestimate severely what they can do in the long term. And I think it's the same exact thing with artificial intelligence and machine learning. I sort of like to think about the 2000 tech and telecom boom, right? I'm sure many of you are old enough to remember trading and investing through that 1999-2000 tech boom, where any company or any stock that had a .com at the end of its name was trading at ridiculous nosebleed valuations. And many times these companies were pre-revenue, right? So they didn't even really have a business model. They would just slap .com on the back of the name and everybody went crazy for it. And ever since the tech and telecom boom, or the tech wreck, there was a lot of equity research analysts on the street in 2002, 2003, who were very negative and who were very bearish on the internet, right? They were pointing and saying, see, you know, all these companies are going to zero. There's no way this is ever going to work long term. But it sort of relates to that saying, right? I think people severely overestimated the effects and the ramifications of the internet in 2000, but they severely underestimated just how disruptive technology, telecom, internet, and software was going to be over the next decade. So my prediction is I think it's going to be the same exact thing with artificial intelligence. Any thoughts there? Agreements, disagreements as we cross by Zuccotti Park here in Lower Manhattan? Hey, Stephanie's here. What's up? Water Blazing Unij 23. Good to see you, Hawaii Michelle Henry. Good to see you guys. Yeah, Sparks Carnival says, Tom, Microsoft is the largest cybersecurity company around measured by revenue. Recently announced new cloud-based security products that seem to likely threaten Palo Alto networks. Well, it's interesting, right? Because if you think about a massive company like Microsoft, what's very dangerous about them, and when I mean dangerous, I mean in terms of competition as it relates to other software companies. This is actually the Federal Reserve right in front of us. It's kind of funny. We're going to hear from them next week. But Microsoft has such a massive client base already. So that makes it very, very easy for them to flip on a switch and gain additional reoccurring revenue. So I'll give you an example, and I think Michael Joseph sort of put this in the chat already, but you know, I like to give this example. Salesforce, ticker symbol CRM, they acquired Slack. Used to be a publicly traded company under the ticker symbol WORK. Now, Slack is an additional cost, but Microsoft, they bundle their competitor to Slack within their Microsoft 365 suite, if you will. So at any time, if they want to add new products or new cybersecurity products or whatever it may be, whatever software plugin or add-on they may want to add, all they have to do is just literally send out a blast email or have the enterprise account executives or the salespeople, account executives at Microsoft just hit up and contact their base. So there's something called the take rate, right? So this is the business that I used to be in. I used to be in tech and telecom sales. And whenever we would have a new product that would launch on the market, especially if it was an add-on product, the managers or the sales directors would calculate something called the take rate. So let's say if I had a book of accounts of about 100 accounts, and my job was to call into those accounts to try to upsell them on our new products, right? If 20% of the people who I called agreed to say, yeah, you know what, I think this particular software will help us out, I think this particular product will help us out, you know, that's gonna add, you know, let's say if it was $20 a license, that's gonna add significant revenue to the company, and it's an easy sale. It's called a soft sale. You're selling into your base of accounts. And with Microsoft, it's the same thing. So they could flip on a switch, roll out a new AI product, and if you're an analyst on Wall Street, all you do is you assign a theoretical take rate to that software, to those products. And the TAM is pretty much infinite, if you will. Hey, Sparks Carnival, is Netflix up almost 6% today? Michael Joseph says Microsoft is a software language company and is one of the biggest developer platforms. They own GitHub, etc. Yeah, you're 100% right. Shadowship is here. Hakuna Matata says Anheuser-Busch stock. Hilarious. B Cruz, what's up? Yeah, Wendy England says upsell benefits. You know, that's why I've always said, and I get a lot of emails from people saying, you know, I'm just interested in tech sales. I want to get into software sales. You know, sort of what direction or guidance could you provide? And I think there's a big distinction here. Let's say if you get a job at Microsoft, for example, as an account executive, it is of my opinion that it's going to be an easier job and an easier sale to be an account executive at Microsoft as opposed to getting an account executive job at some startup, right, that doesn't really have a name. Now, there's a little bit of a risk-reward play here, and I'm actually going to take you guys to One Wall Street. This is Trinity Church, by the way. Very famous church here in Lower Manhattan as we cross Pine Street. Now, it's a lot easier to sell Microsoft products or sell Salesforce or sell whatever big name tech company because they already have a name for themselves, right? So if you're calling and you open with, hey, this is Thomas from Microsoft, people will probably generally want to talk to you and see what you have to offer. But if you say, hey, this is Tom from, you know, random so-and-so startup, nobody's really gonna understand what you're talking about. So the way they incentivize these compensation structures is the commissions tend to be a little bit higher if you choose to work for a startup, in most cases, right? Because it's a little bit harder to sell the products. So if you can negotiate a really good deal where maybe you take a little bit less on the base salary at a startup, but you really negotiate an aggressive commission structure, you can do really well. Really, really well. This is the corner of Wall Street and Broad Street. I'll show you Trinity Church one more time. Hey, Crypto Meme is here. What's up? Good to see you, sir. Now we're walking down Broadway. I might as well take you guys all the way to the Mighty Bull. We haven't seen the Mighty Bull in a long, long time. But this is actually, we're walking right outside the front of One Wall Street. I just want to get away from that big garbage truck so you guys will be able to hear. But check this out. This is a really cool new development that I was able to tour today. It's called One Wall Street. It actually has a Whole Foods in the lobby as well. But this is a really, really unique new development. You can see it's developed by Maclo Properties. It is a huge development, by the way. It's ultra luxury condominiums. Comes equipped with a really nice saltwater pool. It has a private restaurant for residences only. So if you rent or purchase a unit in this particular building, you get your own private restaurant, which is amazing. The outdoor roof terrace is fantastic. You have amazing views of the World Trade Center. You can see the Statue of Liberty. And from the apartment in which I toured today, it's such a unique layout that you could actually see the Charging Bull right from your apartment. I think this is actually the exact one that I toured today, the one with the lights on. I'll probably upload the video so you guys can see. But how cool is that? You're able to sit in your living room, look out over Broadway. You could see a little piece of One World Trade Center, and you could also see the Mighty Bull from your apartment. Really cool stuff. Now, what's interesting about this building, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to see it, is because we've been talking a lot about condo conversions here in New York. And one of the major problems that New York City is going through right now is a lot of vacant office space. Tons and tons of vacant office space, particularly here in Lower Manhattan. Now, condo conversions, especially from office to condominium, they're very expensive, so developers really tend to shy away from it. But the particular developer took on this project at One Wall Street, and I think they did a really good job. Now, we've talked about 95 Wall Street, right, which is another office to condo conversion. But I think the layout of that building is a little bit too close of a resemblance of an office. It sort of looks like you're living in a cubicle. The developers and the architects and the designers did an amazing job revamping this entire building to where it feels like you're living in a luxury hotel as opposed to an office. They were able to raise the ceiling heights. I think they have 10.5-foot ceilings in each of the units, which is great. Usually you do not see that in office to condo conversions. Usually the ceiling heights are very low. And we'll see how it sells. I think Compass has the majority of the listings in the building. There's tons and tons of units here. So it's not like it's an exclusive, super small building. So we'll see how it sells. I think it's about 20% sold currently. So we'll keep our eye on it, and we'll see if the sales are good. Western Mass Dave's, was that the $16 million short that you posted? No, that one was actually 50 Central Park South. And that is a beautiful Art Deco apartment that's actually inside the Ritz-Carlton residences. Has anybody ever stayed at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel at Central Park South? Well, if you have, and maybe you didn't know, you can actually see a little bit of the Chrysler building all the way in the distance. You could actually purchase units. It's called the Ritz-Carlton Residences. You have access to all of the amenities of the hotel, but many of those particular units, Dave, are used as pied-à-terres. They're really not going to be primary residences. A lot of the buyers that we see coming to look at those particular properties are using them for second and third vacation homes. Sometimes the buyers of those units really only buy it for the address, right? And maybe they spend Thanksgiving or Christmas or the holidays in the city, and pretty much the rest of the year it's vacant. So I would say the Ritz-Carlton residences, pretty much anything inside a hotel, right? Mandarin Oriental residences, the Plaza Hotel residences, very, very seldom are they primary. They're usually pied-à-terres. All right, well, this is the Mighty Bull as we head down Broadway. So you have the Charging Bull right here. And that is the apartment unit at 1 Wall Street. You can see it right here, where you actually have the view of the Mighty Bull. Hey, TC says, wow, I just looked at the website for 1 Wall Street condos. Very, very nice. I was very impressed. I will say that. I wanted to have as much of an open mind as possible going in there, because look, I've told you guys before, very rarely, okay, in my opinion, I know a lot of people may get upset when I say this, but very rarely, in my opinion, do developers do a good job with these conversions, because office buildings were designed exactly that, as office buildings. So you could do as much work as possible. You could try as much as possible to make it feel homey, but a lot of the times it's just impossible. But for 1 Wall Street, they actually made it work. Obviously, it's tailored towards, you know, high net worth individuals. I mean, I think studios start at 1.3, 1.4 million. So they really had to do a good job and make sure they did things appropriately in the right way. But the amenities are unreal. I was extremely impressed. Looks like the Mighty Bull is very popular tonight. Yeah, Danielle says, is that the Woolworths building in the background? It is. Mills, I would pay $100 a month to live in a rich person's pied-à-terre. Yeah, the interesting thing is a lot of these, I would say more upscale condominiums, they're very, very strict as it relates to short-term rentals. Now, if you're an investor, right, now one of the things that the sales agent was explaining to me, the building is actually becoming quite popular for international investors doing block sales. And we've talked about block sales before. And essentially what they'll do is they'll price out a block sale on, let's say, 9 units between maybe 1 and 3 bedrooms. And they'll use that, they'll pay cash for it, and then they'll use it just to rent out. And I think that building will do really good for rentals. I'm not sure if that's gonna work well for many people's primaries, but I think, you know, maybe as an investment for rentals is pretty good. All right, let's head back to Wall Street. I'll show you guys the New York Stock Exchange. But yeah, I mean, so let's talk about the market a little bit. You know, again, at the very beginning in the live stream, you know, I talked about how I made a little bit of a write-up on Twitter this morning. So if you go to my Twitter page, if you follow @WalksWallStreet, one of the things that I've been looking for personally, right, and I've said this multiple times and we've talked about this on the stream, is that if this bull market is going to have staying power, we need to have more participation and broader breadth of the market. And that's actually exactly what we're saying, or what we're seeing, rather. And there's still a lot of analysts and a lot of portfolio managers and PMs that are making appearances on, you know, the major channels, if you will, CNBC and Bloomberg, and saying this market rally is only being propelled by 7 stocks. Not really, actually. Maybe that was the case 3 to 4 months ago. But if you've been paying attention and looking at the improvement of breadth, it's been improving quite materially. So what we're seeing is a lot of the mega cap stocks, right? The big mega cap tech stocks, taking a little bit of a pause, taking a little bit of a breather, and we're seeing sector rotation into some of the smaller caps. So for example, if you pull up a chart of the IWM, so to speak. Oh, take a look at these dogs. I think those were French bulldogs. Love those. But if you take a look at ticker symbol IWM, that is the ETF that tracks the Russell 2000. And usually, right, if you go back throughout history and back test this, small caps tend to outperform right at the start of a new bull market, because small caps tend to get crushed the most during the bear, if you will, right, for obvious reasons, particularly because a lot of small caps in the Russell 2000 don't have any earnings, or they have very little earnings. This is the corner of Broad Street and Beaver Street. Now we're gonna make a right, and we're gonna take you guys on a quick walking tour to the New York Stock Exchange, which is right here. And then directly outside of the New York Stock Exchange is Federal Hall, which I think will be pretty cool to see. But here's the way I think we need to think about it. Sentiment, in my perspective, right, from people I talk to, PMs that I talk to, a lot of portfolio managers, analysts, and even people on Main Street, like my friends and things like that, there's still a lot of negative sentiment on the market. People are very pessimistic on the economy. People are very pessimistic on inflation. And I think our psychology and our own cognitive biases can sometimes cloud our reality. And I try to disassociate my emotions from the data and solely focus on the data. And again, take a look at CPI, right? About a year ago, inflation in the United States was 9%, right? In terms of the headline CPI number. We just got a reading for 3% CPI. If we do a deeper dive into the components or the frameworks that make up that CPI number, almost everything has collapsed except 2 specific categories. And again, we've reviewed this multiple times, but I think it's appropriate to do it again because it's so critical. Number 1 is food. Food prices continue to be elevated. And number 2, shelter costs. Shelter costs, unfortunately, continue to remain elevated in the face and in spite of the fact that interest rates have nearly doubled, right? According to CNBC, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage, I think, is right around 6.8%. But have you guys noticed a trend potentially starting to form? Real quick, hold that thought. This is the New York Stock Exchange. right here. Beautiful building. I'm sure you guys remember our walks down here during the holidays. Now, if you're new here, I gotta tell you guys something, okay? This is so important as it relates to New York. Everybody wants to talk about the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, right? During the holidays, you want to visit New York and you want to see the tree at 30 Rock. Well, I'll let you in on a secret. In my opinion, it's very controversial. The tree outside the New York Stock Exchange is way better than the tree at Rockefeller Center. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at the channel and go back and look at some of the streams we've done. But better yet, come down here to Wall Street and Broad Street and look for yourself. They do a really, really good job every year. I don't know where they get the tree, I don't know how they do it, but it's just so much more full and so much more symmetrical here down on Wall Street. Now, who agrees with that or who disagrees with that? This is always such a controversial statement. Richard Vogel says, you agree? Yeah, I just think they make it look better. And it's actually located right here, by the way. Sort of put it on the Con Ed post, if you will. DM says, I agree. This is 18 Broad Street, so the New York Stock Exchange. Unfortunately, it is closed to the public. Many of you already probably know that. Unfortunately, after the September 11th terrorist attacks, they did close off the New York Stock Exchange to the public. So this is only open to employees and people who are invited in, and you have to go through the security screening right here. Hey, Don is here. What's up, Don? Says, hey, Tom, love your channel. David Main is here. Wabi says, love that Wall Street Christmas tree. It's fantastic. They also have menorah here for all of our, Jewish viewers and listeners that celebrate Hanukkah. There's a really nice menorah that's set up here. They really make it nice for the holidays. So that's definitely something to check out. I was lucky enough, and I have to give a big thank you to the team at Envela. So Envela is a company that is traded on the NYSE under the ticker symbol ELA, and they invited me down to the New York Stock Exchange to attend the closing bell ceremony, which was probably one of the best experiences of my life. You know, as somebody who actively trades the financial markets, who is pretty much obsessed with the financial markets, to be able to go inside the New York Stock Exchange, have a full tour, walk the floor, and even attend the closing bell ceremony. It was awesome. So big thank you to Envela. Let's see what ticker symbols are going across. Oh, there's AT&T. We were talking about that last night. AT&T is now trading at the levels where it was trading almost 20 years ago. That's what I call a dividend trap. You know, AT&T, suckered a lot of people in over the years with their very, very high dividend yield. Oh, there's Taiwan Semiconductor. There's Uber. United Health. Today was a good day in the market. S&P 500 closed almost at the dead highs of the day. Russell 2000 stocks acted really well. Now, this is a little bit of a bummer, okay? What you're looking at right now is Federal Hall. And what you may notice is all this horrible sort of scaffolding mess that is covering the beautiful stairs of Federal Hall. Now, it's gonna be like this for 10 years, if you could believe that. Now, when I worked down here, my office was all the way down here at 82 Wall Street, which is now actually not even an office anymore, it's a hotel. It's called the Wall Street Hotel. I've never stayed there. If anybody's ever stayed there, let us know how it is. It looks beautiful on the inside, but back in the day, that used to be an office building. Anyway, this is where I used to have lunch. So imagine this scaffolding is gone. There's beautiful stairs that go all the way up to the main entrance of Federal Hall and right around the George Washington statue. And this is actually where George Washington was inaugurated, by the way. So tons of rich history down here on Wall Street. One of my favorite things to do is stand directly behind the George Washington statue and look right at the New York Stock Exchange. I think that's one of the most iconic photographs of Lower Manhattan, is that shot right there. So pretty cool. And then this is just back to where we are, right? So at the very beginning of the stream, we were right here outside of Trinity Church. Ah, JPEG says you've been there. Yeah, it's awesome. I love that. I know, line syncs like it's only going to be 4.5 months before the holidays are rolling around again. I can't even believe that. It's crazy. Now, the coolest thing by far, I told you guys I was able to do a quick walkthrough and a tour of some of the units of One Wall Street. Now, this is the very back of One Wall Street right here. And on this side of the building is actually the studio line. So there's some studio apartments that you could rent or buy, and literally you have a direct view inside the New York Stock Exchange. It is so cool. I took some pictures and some videos that I may upload for you guys, but from some of the units inside One Wall Street, you could actually have your desk pressed up against the window here, you know, have your morning coffee, and you could watch all the traders on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. It's almost surreal. It's wild. That feels like something that I should probably do. I should probably buy one of these units. And as you're doing your work, as you're making your calls, many of the units look directly inside the NYSE. And you can see all the, well, not too many traders anymore, but there are some. Yeah, Wabi says I totally live down there. It's the historic heart of New York City. It really is. And one thing that we've noticed is many buyers don't really see that side, right? Particularly buyers who are not born and raised and from New York. Because if you're not from New York, you hear about the fashionable areas to live being in Midtown Manhattan, being in Tribeca, in Soho, and even in Little Italy and Chinatown. Those are really, really fashionable areas and neighborhoods now. But there's so much that Lower Manhattan has to offer. These dogs are some of my favorite. Now, I forget the exact breed, but I believe they're from Korea. I believe these dogs are Korean. I'll try to move up a little bit to see if we can... They're so unique. They're so beautiful, and they have like this really, really thick coat. This looks to be a dachshund of some sort on the right. No, it's not a Shiba Inu. It's similar. I'm trying to think. JPEG 43, I think you may be right. I don't know. But anyway, you know, a lot of new people that are coming to New York, you know, they really don't, I don't think they appreciate the history and the value of Lower Manhattan. I think it's a great place to live. Now, if you're not a fan of the cold, maybe Lower Manhattan isn't the place for you, okay? It's beautiful in the summer, it's beautiful in the spring, it's beautiful in the fall, but you need to be able to withstand a lot of wind. Because down here, if you haven't noticed, think back to our live streams in Midtown Manhattan and compare the streets of Midtown to the streets of Lower Manhattan. These are very narrow, very winding streets, and this creates really, really strong wind tunnels, trust me. You could have like 30 miles an hour gust of wind as you're coming out of the train. This is actually the station that I used to get off. I used to take the 2 train from Penn Station, and it would drop you off right here outside of the Deutsche Bank. Let's cross the street and take a look at the old Deutsche Bank. Ooh, Steph UH says can't wait for the fall, tired of summer. I don't know, I disagree. I mean, it doesn't seem like we get enough of summer here in New York, so I don't know. But anyway, guys, this is the old Deutsche Bank, and what you're looking at is the atrium. Now, the atrium is still open. However, a lot of the businesses that used to operate in this atrium are now closed. There actually used to be a Starbucks right here that used to be so packed for obvious reasons, because the major German bulge bracket investment bank used to be right through those doors. Now take a look how massive this building is. And now it is totally vacant because Deutsche Bank has decided to move their headquarters in New York City from this building at 60 Wall Street to the former AOL Time Warner Center at 59th Street, Columbus Circle. And I'm sure you guys know that building. We talk about it all the time. It was actually developed in 2006 by the Related Group. It has one of New York City's most luxurious hotels, the Mandarin Oriental Hotel. And it has tons of shops, tons of restaurants, and a Michelin star restaurant, might I add, Per Se, which is a French cuisine. It's a French restaurant. Let's check it out. Now, I think they may do condo conversions here. I think maybe Sparks Carnival. Said they were doing condo conversions. But if you look closely, you could actually see the Deutsche Bank insignia here, which is unfortunately no longer. Wow, they really gutted the entire thing. This used to be a big sort of like concierge center with all of the door people, and these were the elevator banks where all the bankers would go up. It looks like they're actually raising the ceiling heights. Man, a lot has changed down here. But yeah, this used to be the Deutsche Bank. Now, since I was down here today touring One Wall Street, I actually was able to go to one of my favorite coffee shops in the entire city, and I always used to go here when I worked down here. It's called Black Fox Coffee. So if you're new to the neighborhood, or you're looking to move down here, or whatever, if you're a tourist, trust me on this, okay? If you're in Lower Manhattan, all you gotta do is go to the Deutsche Bank and make a left on the corner here. And you gotta promise me you'll go to this coffee shop, Black Fox Coffee. It is phenomenal. Since we're down here, we might as well walk past it. Cooking says, what coffee drink do you get? Just basic cold brew with half and half. That's usually my go-to. Guys, look at how unique this is. This literally is my old office building, and now it is the bar and lounge of the Wall Street Hotel. Crazy. I can't, man, it's like a walk down memory lane. It's so wild seeing people, you know, having a drink, enjoying, you know, the hotel lobby when this is where I used to run to work. That is so crazy. They did a good job on the conversion though. Look at those ceilings, sort of like this flowered texture with the chandeliers coming down. Oh, Myra King, cool. Says you've been to Black Fox Coffee. There's one near the Hudson Yards. It's really good. Yeah, there's multiple locations, right? Now, I think the newest location is right across the street from Trump Tower. So 56th Street, right near Tiffany's, but that's an outdoor location. Real quick, the Buttonwood Agreement, when the team at Envela Corporation invited me to the New York Stock Exchange for the closing bell ceremony, I actually got to see the original Buttonwood Agreement. Think about that. They still preserve the original Buttonwood Agreement from 1729. Crazy. In 1792, excuse me. It's my dyslexia kicking in. I always rearrange numbers. But in 1792, right where you're standing, the Buttonwood Agreement was officially signed and executed, establishing the first ever New York Stock Exchange at the time. Crazy, right? Now, if you're invited to the New York Stock Exchange, they actually have the original Buttonwood Agreement on display. So big thank you to John, the CEO of Envela, for the invitation there. It's such cool, rich history in the New York Stock Exchange. I actually never knew right where we were standing. That's where the Buttonwood Agreement was signed. That's actually kind of interesting because this used to be the front door to the office, but now we have the Wall Street Hotel. 88 Wall Street. Hey, Daniel G from Buenos Aires, Argentina. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Wow, look at this. Not too many people dining here tonight, but this looks like a gorgeous dining room. Maybe a brand new... Oh, here we go. We could take a look at the menu. The prices actually aren't too bad. $16, it's a good price. Hey, JPEG, thank you so much. Hey, Ryan Beck, what's up, man? Ryan, we're just checking out Lower Manhattan tonight. I was telling the team here about my preview that I did at 1 Wall Street, which is another condo conversion. And here's the other one. This is 95 Wall Street. But do you guys see what I'm talking about as it relates to office to condominium conversions, where it sort of still looks like an office building? Especially this one, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I could live here. I mean, the units are very nice, but the layouts is sort of... when I want to go home, I want to go home. I don't want to feel like I'm in an office environment. So I think 1 Wall Street did a little bit of a better job with sort of making the feel like a home instead of, oh yeah, I'm living in an old office. But check them out. I mean, if you guys are interested just to see, visualize what we're talking about, just go on Street Easy real quick and type in 95 Wall Street, and you can look at some of the floor plans yourself, and you'll see what I mean, because it's important we talk about it, because New York City has a major housing crisis, if you haven't noticed. I would say an artificially created one, but I don't want to get too political and controversial here. So one of the solutions... We'll wait for the ambulance to go by. Hopefully everybody's all right. One of the solutions is converting a lot of these vacant office spaces into condos. But I think it needs to be done the right way, if you will. All right, we are now on the corner of Water Street and Wall Street. And as a quick disclaimer, again, this area is very beautiful in the spring and in the summer and in the fall, but Water Street in particular gets very, very windy and freezing during the winter. Just a quick disclaimer, as you walk down Water Street, as you cross S&P Global and the old JP Morgan Chase headquarters, which they got rid of. That's the South Ferry terminal. So you can get the Staten Island ferry to Staten Island, which is actually free. You know, there's a lot of paid water tours around New York City. So I always tell tourists who are visiting the city, you could just sort of skip over that. Just go to the Staten Island ferry and it's free. You get just as good views of the city, if not better. It crosses right past the Statue of Liberty. You can see the Verrazano Bridge, you can see the Brooklyn Bridge, all of Lower Manhattan. And depending on how clear it is for the night, you could actually see all the way to the Hudson Yards. So that's what I would recommend. These are all vacant. I think this used to be the old Citigroup building. This is all vacant here. No tenants. You can sort of see. I'm not sure if you can make that out on the stream. But these are all vacant. Totally vacant. Hey, Patrick NYC. What's up, Patrick? Thanks for joining us in Lower Manhattan. Okay, Wabi says they're doing the same condo conversions here in Boston. However, the office vacancies are much lower. Big thing here is office to biotech lab conversion. You know what? You're right. There's a huge pharmaceutical industry in Boston. Huge. Tons of big pharma there. Ed teases, why does it get so cold in comparison to other areas? That's a good question. This is the main reason right here. No, not the skateboarders. The water's right here. And when the water meets the mainland of Manhattan, particularly in Lower Manhattan, the streets are so narrow here. If you think about Midtown, more modern, right? Avenue of the Americas, 6th Avenue, much wider. These are sort of narrow, winding streets in Lower Manhattan, right on the water. You can actually see the wind picking up as we're walking towards it. It gets freezing here. We're about to be at South Street Seaport. Oh, that was a nice... I miss skateboarding. I always call this out, Droga 5. This was my first customer. Right here at 120 Wall Street. This is actually an advertising agency. I can't believe they're still there. And that was back in the day, 2015, 2016. Now, if you look all the way in the distance, this is Brooklyn. And if you look even further into Brooklyn, that's the old sort of Dimes savings bank, if you will. That was actually developed into a massive luxury condominium. Once we get to the end of the scaffolding here, you guys are gonna be able to see South Street Seaport, which a lot of people, right, particularly, I would say people new to New York, not really familiar with South Street Seaport. They don't really do as good of a job as they could with highlighting all of the new stuff that's coming to the seaport. The Tin Building, which we saw about 2 weeks ago. Let me just cross the street here. So we're gonna see the Tin Building again. And this is the first summer that the Tin Building is open. There's tons of new restaurants in there. There's bars, there's a grocery store, like a really, really boutique grocery store. They make it really nice. This is Industry Kitchen. This has been here a long time. But this is an amazing place to come after work, have a few drinks, and look at the beautiful view of the Brooklyn Bridge, which is right here. Here, before I show you that, I just want to show you guys the water, just to give you some perspective of where we are. check that out. Amazing views. This is downtown Brooklyn. This is the Brooklyn Bridge right here. And just to the left of the Brooklyn Bridge, you have the Manhattan Bridge. Hey, the Papa Smurf OG is here. What's up? FDNY in the house. Now, this is another notable development in the distance that is called One Manhattan Square. And every time we talk about New York City's Billionaires Row, 57th Street, the pioneers on Billionaires Row was a development company called Extel. And the owner and the founder of Extel is a gentleman that goes by the name of Gary Burnett. He essentially made the first big building on Billionaires Row, which just so happened to be called 157 West 57th Street, which also has the Park Hyatt, which is a luxurious 5-star hotel, inside 157, and Central Park Tower, which is the tallest building on Billionaires Row. And this is one of his newest developments here, One Manhattan Square. Beautiful development, amazing views of Lower Manhattan. I know, Brad's brain, isn't that wild? We used to skateboard the streets of New York, and they used to be completely empty. But yeah, this is a cool place. I mean, you know, and a lot of these apartments down here in Lower Manhattan are trading at a discount in comparison to Tribeca, in comparison to Soho and Little Italy, because it's not that fashionable of an area right now. The fashionable areas is Tribeca. Everybody wants to be there. But I would argue there's just as many things to do here, if not more things to do in Lower Manhattan, now that they've really built up the seaport. Steps away from your apartment, you can hang out at the water. I don't know. I think you get more bang for your buck in terms of price per square foot. Papa Smurf OG says you can't go wrong with the night views in New York City. I agree 100%. Hey, Fabi's here. Says I was there, during the day, and it's really gorgeous. Yeah, it is. It's most beautiful, I think, at dusk, right when the sun is setting. Now, this new development, there's a big problem with it. I think they may need to take this down. Supposedly, the building is leaning, and it could potentially fall over. They did a horrible job and they cut corners with the development. So I think they may need to take that down. Anybody have any insight on that? Now, I have some big news. Does everybody see this building right here? Right there. This is big building sticking up in Dumbo, Brooklyn. Well, that is another new development. And it's called Olympia Dumbo. Olympia Dumbo. I want you guys to look that up, okay? On Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning, I've been invited to do a preview of some of the most exclusive residences in the Olympia Dumbo, which I'm looking forward to. Really appreciate the lead sales team there, which just happens to be Frederick's sales team at Douglas Elliman. You may be familiar with Frederick. He's was one of the main brokers on $1 Million Listing New York when that was on Bravo TV. Really nice guy, super down to earth. So I will be there on Friday, 10 a.m. Hopefully I'll be able to get some video for you guys, just so you could see the views from Dumbo. You have unobstructed views of the Brooklyn Bridge, the Manhattan Bridge, and all of Lower Manhattan, One World Trade Center. So I think it'll be a really cool development to preview. So very excited about that. Yeah, Robert, you're 100% correct. I don't think I'm gonna be allowed to stream it, but I think I'll be allowed to send you guys some still videos, standalone videos, if you will. But I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. I think Dan Sang is actually the person who really pointed that building out to us. So thank you, Dan. Look at this. You know, has anybody noticed this is high tide? The water is usually not this high. Look at that. Wow, the water is literally almost street level. Yeah, I could promise you guys, I mean, I've been down here a lot in my life. This is really high tide here. Can you guys hear the water, the waves crashing? Let me see, I'll try to get you guys closer. Let me know in the chat if you could hear the water. Really nice, peaceful up here too. I used to have lunch up here sometimes as well. The views from up here is amazing, amazing, amazing. Look at that. The big green building that you see, it's actually Pier 17. We've explored that on a previous live stream. And I'm gonna give you guys a restaurant recommendation. You ready? I'm not sure if Haas Manning is in the chat. One of our good friends here. Momofuku Noodle Bar. Opened a location right in here. They also have a location in the Deutsche Bank Tower, formerly known as the Time Warner Centers. Highly, highly recommend that place. Really, really good. A little pricey, but very good. And it's a good experience. So take me up on that. If you ever visit Lower Manhattan, and you just happen to waltz over to South Street Seaport, I want you to go to Pier 17 and walk right to the end of the pier. You're gonna see a big sign that says Momofuku Noodle Bar. Hey, Elijah B, good to see you. The water taxi, that thing is gunning. All right, I'm gonna take you guys on one loop around here. There's a little bit of a park and you'll see there's a lot of seating here. And the further you go out on the pier, the better the views get. And you have all of Lower Manhattan in the distance. Yeah, Daniel G says, nice place, never been there. Well, next time you come to New York, maybe this will be one of the stops where you come. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We start these live streams at 8:30 p.m. We'd love to have you guys join us. This is probably the best view of the Brooklyn Bridge because you can see the Manhattan Bridge and the Williamsburg Bridge. So you have three views in a row. You can see people hanging out, enjoying the night. This looks like another outdoor bar and restaurant they opened up. And this is that outdoor bar and grill that we explored last time. that resembles Miami a lot, doesn't it? Now, if you've ever in downtown Miami, this has a very similar vibe. So what do you got between Midtown Manhattan, Central Park South, New York City's Billionaires Row, and Lower Manhattan? What do you guys think? Could you live down here? Could you live in the financial district in New York? Could you live on Wall Street? Could you live on Water Street? Now that you've seen some of the things that there are to do, sort of the neighborhood, it's a little bit quieter down here, right? Especially after 6 p.m., it's going to be really, really quiet. Some people like that. LG says, do you still live in Miami? Yes. Lix59 says, nope, screw the taxes. Yeah, some people, you know, don't like a lot of the taxes in New York. New York City is a very high tax place. You're right. Brad's Brain says, if I work nearby, I absolutely could. Ooh, the Upper West Side is really nice, Western Mass Dave says. Wow, Wabi says, yes, I used to live at Peck Slip. Should have never sold. Whoa, dude. So for those of you who don't know, Peck Slip is actually right over here. In the original South Street Seaport. That is very, very high rent district now. Very high. Maybe if we have enough time, we'll actually take a walk down there. All right, lastly, you see this bridge all the way in the distance right here? It's actually the Verrazano Bridge, which will connect Brooklyn, New York to Staten Island. And right across the way, there's the Staten Island Ferry. But I'll take you guys down and we will explore a little bit deeper into South Street Seaport. Okay, let's head down. Blues writer. Yeah, if you look to your left, right in here, this is a paid tour, sort of like a paid cruise of the city. I think you're better off just doing the Staten Island Ferry, in my view, or just take the New York City water taxi, which is, you know, a couple bucks. B Cruz says, would you live here? I think I could, but for me personally, I don't think it would be my first choice. And that's only because, as you guys know, I do not like the cold. And it does tend to get a lot colder down here than in most parts of the city. But look, I worked down here for many years. I mean, that's the commute that I used to do was insane. I would take sometimes the 525 express train from Massapequa Park to Penn Station, then get off at Penn Station, jump on the 2 train, and go all the way down to Wall Street. When I would get to the office, it would be pitch black. When I would leave the office, it would be pitch black. and cold and windy. Now, this is one of the main attractions down here. This is called the Tin Building. And this is the first summer that the Tin Building is open for operations. There's bars in here, there's restaurants, there's a boutique grocery store. It is really, really nice. All right on the water. Let's check it out. It actually looks like there may be like an outdoor bar, which I don't think we've seen on the last live stream, but we might as well check it out. And then this is your main drag that'll take you directly into the seaport, Peck Slip area and things like that, where Wabi used to have his apartment that he sold. Wow, they did a really good job. Look at that. Plenty of outdoor dining space. You have people enjoying the night, having a few drinks after work. Outdoor bar looks really nice. Let's see if I can take you guys in. Let's see, might as well. Now, the Momofuku Noodle Bar is right here. So tons of things to do. Just steps away from One Wall Street. Plenty of outdoor seating. It looks like it's closed, but maybe I can give you guys a quick peek through the front doors, just so you could sort of see what's in there. Yeah, I think it is closed, but we'll give you a quick peek. Oh no, it's not closed. Let's see if I could take you guys in there. Oh, it closes at 10 p.m. I think it is closed. It is 10 p.m. Looks good. All right, I'll try one more door for you guys. Yeah, that's closed, unfortunately. But look at that. Right as you walk out, you have an amazing view of the Brooklyn Bridge. Wow, look at that. Lots of people out for a Tuesday night. Now, one of the things I want to talk about tomorrow, and again, I do apologize for tonight. It was such a busy day for me. I literally didn't stop working until we started the live stream. We're going to do a deep dive into Bank of America's earnings, but we're also going to talk about the home builder index that came out today. I just haven't had enough time to do the appropriate due diligence myself, so I think that'll be the conversation for tomorrow. But just really high level, from what I've been seeing, bank earnings actually are coming in pretty well. Bank of America reported better than expected earnings, beating on both the top and the bottom line. But again, I really want to do that deep dive as it relates to delinquencies. Maybe we could use that as a proxy of the health of the U.S. consumer. This looks like maybe an ice cream place here. This, my friends, is Momofuku. I'll show the QR code so you can check it out. Joel PM says, do you think earnings expectations are set too low? It's possible, because I think there's a lot of analysts who were very pessimistic on the economy overall. And I think one of the main things that surprised is just the health of the consumer. Now, I'm using air quotes here. Maybe I'll use that on camera. The health of the consumer, I mean consumer spending. Now, consumer spending doesn't necessarily mean the consumer's healthy. I'm using healthy as a descriptive word in terms of they're spending a lot, right? And one of the main things that Fed Chairman Jerome Powell has stated, also Fed President John Williams, they said, look, we are looking for wage inflation to come down, and wage inflation has not come down. If anything, wages are actually up. And to sort of piggyback off of what we said before, most people suffer from lifestyle creep. If you're making $100,000 this year, you leave your job and you get another job that's going to pay you $150,000, very rarely, right? And this isn't opinionated. Harvard did a study on this. Very rarely will you still continue to spend within your old salary. You'll adjust for your income. And if you've noticed, people are making more money. People have been getting raises. And that just doesn't include the private sector. These are retirees as well. Under the Biden administration, we've gotten the biggest increase in Social Security payments. So people have more money in their pocket, right? Obviously adjusted for inflation, but still, people are spending more. And I think that's why earnings have been surprising to the upside. And, you know, the market generally tends to look out 6 months. I mean, the S&P 500 is what, 5% away from a new all-time record high? Think about that for a moment. That's significant. JJ suspended if you got it. The world is your oyster. Now this is the Olympia Dumbo right here. For those of you who are just joining, I will be there Friday at 10 a.m. I'm going to be doing a complete immersive walkthrough of some of the most exclusive units in that building. So super excited about that. So I'm sure on Friday, I'll fill you guys in on that. I promise you this, if I am allowed to live stream the preview, expect a live stream at 10 a.m. and a guided walking tour of all the amenities of Olympia Dumbo and some of the units. Animal, yes it does. Whoa, look at this place. This is the first time I think we've walked past this restaurant when they had the garage doors totally open. Let's check that out. Maybe we can actually walk inside. I love when restaurants have that. A lot of places have been doing that now. They've been literally making their front door like a massive garage door. You guys see it? It's right here. So this huge garage door will come down and retract. So you have this huge open space when you're dining. Look at that, with amazing views of the Brooklyn Bridge and the Manhattan Bridge. I mean, that's an unreal dining experience. For those of you who are interested, it's called Pearl Alley. Look at how cool that looks. Wow. Hey, Bill Rollins is here. What's up? Good to see you, Bill. Welcome to South Street Seaport, Pier 17. I think the city did an unbelievable job of revamping this area. Hey, Clarence Jackson says, have you ever been to the River Cafe in Brooklyn? I haven't. You know what? Where is that, by the way? Because maybe you're talking about this. I want to say like 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago where we went to this cafe that was right here? And I was talking about how unbelievable it was, and then there was a wedding going on. Does anybody remember that live stream? It was just very spontaneous. We just happened to come up upon a wedding. But if this is it, this little cafe on the water, if that's the one you're talking about, then I haven't eaten there, but we've streamed past it, and it was gorgeous. Hey, Myra King, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Says thank you so much for showing us around Pier 17. Looks fantastic, especially at night. It really does. With the water taxi going by, people eating at the restaurants, dining, and you could still see a little bit of One World Trade Center at the top. Oh, Clarence Jackson says, yeah, it is. Well, then we've been there. I haven't eaten there, but we've been there past on the stream. Tons of outdoor seating. Now, again, I just want to remind everybody, this is great spring, summer, and in the fall. But from my experience working down here, I don't think you could probably use this. I mean, maybe if you like the cold, but I don't know. January, February, here, a little bit too cold for me. But Clarence Jackson, I wanted your take on this. We sort of talked about this at the very beginning of the stream. And one of the things that I'm really, really liking right now is that market breadth is improving materially. Take a look at the IWM Russell 2000. Russell 2000 is actually getting a pretty big bid. So we're having a lot of sector rotation. We're having a lot more participation. If you go to my Twitter page, I posted a chart of the Russell 2000, the ETF that tracks it, IWM. Look, that looks like a stage 1 base to me. If we crack above 200, that thing could run. And I think if the Russell, IWM, cracks 200, I think you notch a new all-time record high in the S&P. We're only 5% off the high, right? Breadth is improving materially. The dollar, I think, is fueling this equity rally. Not a lot of people are talking about the Dixie right now. I think that is super critical to talk about. The dollar's at 99. So weak dollar generally tends to be good for emerging markets and smaller companies, and just companies in general that sell a lot of product overseas. If we rewind 6 months ago, right, maybe a little bit more, one of the most common themes on each individual earnings report was CEOs coming out and saying, look, we are losing a lot of money on currency conversion, right? Particularly Tim Cook. If you're selling Apple products in another country, as you go to convert that foreign currency back to US dollars, well, it's going to take a lot more of that foreign currency to buy a lot less US dollars. So I think that's actually going to expand profit margins a little bit with the Dixie coming down. Let's head over to the Brooklyn Bridge. I think we'll just have enough time to get up on there. Yeah, Clarence Jackson says the Little Russell sets up the big bull to run. You know, in college I did a big study, and I could actually send it to you. And essentially the manager who I was working for at the time, like a little internship. He's just one of my good buddies. He said, I want you to look at the Russell 2000 in relation to the start of new bull markets and sort of back test the outperformance in comparison to big cap stocks. And usually what you see at the start of a new bull is Russell, or the Russell 2000 or smaller caps, actually outperforming. So we'll see. You know, that's encouraging, because the narrative at first on Wall Street was, don't trust this rally because there's only 7 stocks driving the market. That narrative has changed. And I even saw somebody on CNBC the other week saying that. And I'm like, that's not true anymore. I mean, you have to sort of watch the market, because we are seeing sector rotation. We are seeing more sectors in the market participate in the rally. So I don't think it's fair to say that 7 stocks are driving the rally anymore. 6 months ago, fine, right? And we talked about that, but you know, to sort of put your biases aside, things are participating. This is the Tin Building again. I know, LG, crazy. So LG is talking about the Long Island serial killer. I'll quickly tell you about that. So, now I guess it's all alleged, but I'm sure it's probably the guy. My house is literally right around the corner from that. So Billy Baldwin, I think, posted on Twitter or something like that, that he went to high school with the killer, right? Well, my parents went to high school with the Baldwins. Now, let me just cross this bike path. Sometimes the bikes come by 20 million miles an hour here. But my parents went to the same high school as the Baldwins, with Alec Baldwin, Billy Baldwin, Stephen Baldwin, in Massapequa, New York, which is a town on Long Island. The high school is called Burner High School. They were the Burner High School Bisons, but it's actually not a high school anymore. It's a middle school. They changed it. I don't think my parents knew the guy, but some of my parents' friends knew him. They were in homeroom with the guy. So kind of wild, kind of crazy, really, really sick stuff. I had to stop following it because we're starting to get out more and more data about this guy, and some of the search history that was in his email and in his Google search is just really, really disturbing and sadistic stuff, and I can't pay attention to it anymore. But crazy, crazy stuff. We are now walking the seaport. You'll notice all the cobblestones here. It's beautiful down here though at the seaport. So for some perspective of where we are, everybody, this is Water Street again. This is where we started. So this is the corner of Water Street and Fulton. And as we go up Fulton Street, does anybody want to guess what we're going to run into? I'm sure you guys know. This is going to look very familiar to you all in just a moment. Hey, Dusty Cole, what's up? Bree Graham says, let me guess, your battery's at 33%. It's not at 33%. All right, real quick in the chat, let's see who gets it. Guess where my battery level is. And maybe if we meet up, I'll buy the winner a coffee. But anyway, as we walk up Fulton Street, we're gonna run into another amazing new development in the city. 130 William, which is Hawaii's favorite development in the city. Now it's interesting because 130 William was the best selling new development of the last year. It's 80% sold out. I think for good reason. Now, if I had to compare One Wall Street that I was in today to 130 William, I think I definitely like 130 William a little bit more. And I think you guys will agree if you've ever seen some of the video tours of 130 William, but 29%, 31%, 10% from British Grey. Good guesses. But no, we're at 15%. 15% tonight. Look at that. So cool. That's one of the things I love about 130 William. The windows are so unique. They're not like regular square boxy windows. They have sort of this oval shape at the top. If you go to my Twitter page, @WalksWallStreet, I did a little bit of a thread on the building. And the views of the One World Trade Center from 130 William is unreal, as you could imagine. It's right there. So 130 William is right here with those very cool shaped windows. And as you look out your apartment, you're literally staring into One World Trade, which is amazing. RCM arched windows. Thank you so much. And tons of stuff to do as well. That also has a really nice saltwater pool in there. So not only do you have great views of the World Trade Center, you have unobstructed views of Brooklyn, Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan Bridge, and you literally walk 2 seconds, and guess what? You are right at the South Street Seaport where we just were. So definitely no shortage of things to do. Yeah, Hawaii says the pool looks amazing. Now the architect was very clever with this building. Very, very clever. So if you go on Street Easy or Zillow or whatnot, if you type in 130 William, you'll see exactly what I mean. This is actually the pool right in here. Can't see it, but all of the amenities, particularly the spa and the pool, has similar design and style to the bathrooms, right? So if you look at the kitchen, if you look at the sink, if you look at the bathtub, it is all reminiscent of the pool, which is very, very cool. I know, Ryan Beck says the arched windows do it for me. It's fantastic. And all the way at the top of the building, the roof deck, they've actually made it now where you could buy individual cabanas. So they've sort of sectioned off the roof. It's very unique what they did. And so even if you buy a unit in the building, you can choose to buy an individual cabana on the rooftop where you could have a barbecue grill. I mean, just you name it, you can put it up there. And I think they started about $500,000. So you could sort of make your own private roof deck, which is really cool. Since we're here, I might as well take you guys to it. Yeah, Marcium's a spectacular building and location. It's a great location. And you'll notice there's a little park outside of it as well. The park is open to the public. I'm excited for you guys to see it. Look at this. Isn't that cool? You have a really nice garden here. You can see these arched windows, and every single unit in the building, doesn't matter if you have a studio apartment, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or even the penthouse, you get the same exact windows throughout every unit, which is really, really great. I'll give you guys a bit of an exclusive here. You see this retail space for lease? I actually know who the tenant's gonna be. It's gonna be a coffee shop. I can't disclose exactly what the company is, but it's gonna be a really nice coffee shop. So imagine that. If you're working remote or you're working from home, you don't really even have to leave the building. You just pop out, boom, you order your coffee, shoot right back upstairs. Very cool. And you have your own little park right at your front door. I'm gonna try to see if I can do, because what I wanna do is I've been getting invited now to a lot of these preview events. Thanks to all of you guys, right? You know, more and more people are interested in watching the live stream, which I really appreciate. You know, some nights we could have like, 800 to 1,000 viewers in the chat, which is crazy to me. So people have been watching it, and I've been getting invited to a lot of these preview events. And I want to get permission to live stream these tours because they're amazing tours. Some of the real estate agents are very professional, especially who are on these big listings. And I think you guys would enjoy it. I think that'd be cool. Maybe every Friday, right? Friday at 10 a.m. Maybe I get invited to Central Park Tower. I get invited to Olympia Dumbo. And we'll get an exclusive guided tour. We'll see multiple units. We'll see all of the amenities. And we'll also do a walking tour of the neighborhood. I think that would be really helpful for potential buyers and just people who want to see some of these new developments. So stay tuned for that. I'm working on it. Sometimes they're a little shifty about people filming, which I totally understand. But look, I think it'd be good publicity for the developers too. I think a lot of people enjoy that type of content, particularly if it's very educational, right? Who's the developer? Who's the architect? Really encapsulate the audience with the history of the building and the neighborhood. So. Hey, Colton Manning, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Ryan Beck says, walks in Wall Street real estate. Oh, I gotta point this out. And then I think I gotta run because the battery's gonna die. But this is actually Pace University. Pace University is very well known for their business school. Right here at the end of the corner. But this is their dormitories. So let's say if you're an out-of-state student and you want to live on campus, I'd assume this is where you'd be staying. It says Pace University dorms. Pretty nice. That's very unique in New York, right? Because a lot of colleges here, particularly in the City University of New York, CUNY, where I went to school, there's no dorms. Mainly because it's mostly in-state students, right? But some of the private colleges who have a little bit more money, starting to have dorms now in the city, which is cool. We didn't make it to the Brooklyn Bridge tonight. I'll make a point to do that tomorrow night. But I do want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I think we had good conversation. We talked about One Wall Street, talked about the Russell 2000 and how the breadth of the market is expanding. But tomorrow we will be doing a deep dive into Bank of America's earnings, as well as the home builder index that came out today. So if you guys enjoyed the live stream, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We will start these streams at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So Hawaii, appreciate you. Brick Stonewall, Philip Holbrook, Daniel G, Sally, Richard Vogel, Brad's Brain, Ryan Beck, thank you for joining, sir. NJB, Marcy M, Steph UH, Abdullah. Hey, and all of our friends battling the ridiculous heat in Arizona, please stay cool. My God, I think it was like 111 degrees. So stay hydrated, stay cool. And remember that there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Enjoy your Wednesday, and I'll see you guys right back here Wednesday night. Take care.